This week on Not Another Movie Podcast, we jump aboard the Covenant and let you know whether Alien Covenant is really that good.
We also hear that Hellboy might be coming back to the big screen.
And not only is Hellboy coming back to the big screen, Judge Dredd is coming back to a screen, but probably not the screen you're expecting. Hello and welcome back to episode 15 on Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Kelly.
And this week we got treated to another big pre-summer. Would you call it pre-summer? It's slowly starting to get into the summer period over in the US, and this is when all the big films come out. The latest installment is Alien Covenant. Now we're going to go into a spoiler-free discussion here, give you our thoughts, and then go into a more spoiler-heavy discussion later in the podcast. So I know you're a massive fanboy of this series. What did you think?
I'm a massive fanboy of this series up to a point, and that point is Aliens. The first two films are fantastic, but after that,
you can't just say that. Like, I'm a massive fan of the Batman series, including the Schumachers. So if you're gonna be a fanboy, you gotta embrace all of it.
All right. Well, then I'm not a fanboy of this series. And I have to say, I was very disappointed by Prometheus. And while this one was better, I thought, than Prometheus, it suffered from all the same issues that Prometheus suffered from.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's a better prequel to Alien than it is a sequel to Prometheus.
Yeah.
It's a movie that's enjoyable, but after you leave the cinema, you're never going to think about it again, nor are you probably going to watch it ever again, to be honest.
Well, I would contradict that, because I've been thinking about it a lot all day after watching it last night and just getting more and more frustrated with this movie.
This is like the Suicide Squad all over again.
It is, really. Gosh. It's such a wasted opportunity, because the xenomorphs are so cool. The universe is so cool. But they just are so far up their own asses at this point, they can't see what a good story is.
We'll go into what I thought later on, but because they did go into a lot of deep themes that you wouldn't necessarily expect from an Alien franchise movie, but as I said, I'd rather go that into the spoiler. I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. But
I will say of that, though, I think they think they're a lot deeper than they are, to be honest.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I think they've kind of missed the concept of what these movies are.
Exactly.
And gone into a more sophisticated track where we don't need a sophisticated track in an Aliens film. We just want a fucking Aliens film. How hard is that?
I'm down with sophisticated, I'm down with deep ideas, the meaning of life and all that kind of stuff, as long as it's not done in a hackneyed way. And I think these ones are really trying to force the issue. Like Ridley Scott wants to get out there and show what a serious filmmaker he is, but he's not doing a good job. He's not finding that balance there of that sophistication and just telling a good story. He's focused too much on these high concept ideas, which aren't that interesting in my opinion, or they're not being presented in an interesting way, and everything else in the film suffers for it.
Yep,
I mean, look at the Aliens movie, which I think is the high point. I love Alien, but I think Aliens is the high point. I mean, that has some fantastic character development. It has some really interesting ideas about humanity and who they are. But it also is a kick-ass film, and they just haven't managed to capture that again.
Yeah, well, I personally think Alien was a horror film. Aliens was a sci-fi film. And I don't think they've kind of separated themselves going forward. It's always been... They've always tried to combine the two rather than just let them be their own individual genre.
And look, mix it up. I definitely agree. Feel free to mix up the genre, but just make it a good example of that genre, as opposed to, as you just said, trying to jam some of the tributes to the previous films in there. Yeah. That's why Aliens was so good, because it took what Alien was, but created something new and fresh, and they haven't managed that.
Yeah. All right. Well, as you can tell, general consensus is it was disappointing, but I still think it's worth a watch if you're a fan of the series.
Yeah, I would say if you want to go for anything else but visuals, because I actually think one of the positives of this film was it looked really nice,
Yeah.
except for some of the CG I thought was very poor, but that's it. We'll discuss that later. So if you want to see some of the nice cinematography, go. But maybe if you've got a choice between this and Boss Baby, just go and see Alec Baldwin as a baby.
That's very high praise. All right, well, let's leave that alien discussion there. If you want to hear further of our thoughts, we're going to be doing it at the end of the podcast. All right, well, we've spoken about this filmmaker before, and if there was one filmmaker who I reckon would do really well in the Alien franchise, it's Denis Villeneuve, or Denis Villeneuve. But instead, he's taking over another Ridley Scott property, and that's Blade Runner. And this week, we got to see a full trailer of Blade Runner 2049, and my God, I describing it as a visual fuckfest.
Yeah,
It looks beautiful.
it really does. It looks like somebody took the original Blade Runner film and just like, how can we do this now, but more awesome?
Yes.
And it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
They've done a great job.
They haven't given away anything really of the storyline. Well, not that I could tell.
No.
But they've just thrown all these visuals and pieced them together, and you kind of got a consensus of what it might be about, but we don't really have any plot details.
No, he's dropping breadcrumbs, but he's not. They're not revealing anything yet. I think there's the insinuation that Gosling is a replicant at the end of the trailer, but look, who knows? It really doesn't give anything away.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really cannot wait to see this. If you're just going on visuals alone, you've got my money.
Got Dave Bautista in glasses, which is a fresh take.
Dave Bautista. You've got Jared Leto, who looks like he had more screen time in the trailer than he did the whole Suicide Squad, which was impressive.
Yeah, and he already makes more. His motivations make more sense than they did then.
Yeah, so he looks awesome. Then obviously you've got Harrison Ford, you got Ryan Gosling. The list goes on. It just looks beautiful.
Gosling looks badass in this movie, can I just say?
And I've spoken about this director before and how I just gush over him. And this trailer has just made me so wet that I can't wait to see this film. I have to admit, it looks.
Is that what that squelching sound is?
It's a squishing sound at the moment. It's my underpants.
Okay, that's good. Well, okay, it's sickening, but okay, let's move on.
So yeah, I can't wait to see this. And I forgot to put it on a rundown sheet. But did you see the new? I wouldn't say it was a trailer. It was more of a short clip of it that was shown at the MTV Movie Awards.
I did, yeah. Looks pretty freaky.
The more I see of this film, the less chance I'm seeing it at the movies. The more chance I'm going to watch it at home during the day with all the fucking lights on, even though it's sunny outside.
I really hope, because I know you sometimes go to the cinema during the day. I hope one day you go to the cinema during the day to see this film and nobody else is there. And just while you're watching it, this red balloon just floats up from the seats 2 rows down. Yeah. If I know you're going, I'm going to drive all the way across the other side of the city to make that happen.
Speaking of which, that was a brilliant shot right at the end of that clip, where they've got the balloon floating to him, and then it cuts to a scene outside, and Pennywise is just standing there with all these balloons, and the balloons just rise and unveil his face. Incredible. Yeah, I mean, I'm really keen to. The more I see this film, like you, the more keen I am to see it. I got a feeling this is going to be a real sleeper hit for the summer. I think this movie, the trailers alone are getting buzz, and horror films do really well if they're done properly. Like, if you can capture that audience, not only do you get the newbies who just go and watch any horror film just for the sake of watching a horror film, but you've also got our generation who have seen the original, were freaked out by Tim Curry's performance, and then want to go and see another presentation of this story. So I honestly think this one is going to be a massive hit for them, and obviously pave the way for the second film. What was the last good horror film that came out? Babadook? I reckon The Conjuring was very good. The first one, I thought that was quite good. As I said, I think I've told this story before, but the first Paranormal Activity freaked me the fuck out. I think I've shared this story, but my wife went out. I was home alone. I got a theatre room, surround sound. I started the film fine, lights off, no dramas. And then the sounds just went around the room, and I couldn't tell whether they were outside or inside. So I started off with that light on in the theater room.
Yep.
Kept going, pursued, kept hearing these sounds, and my theater room, my old one, used to back into my hallway. So I opened the door, turned the hallway lights on, and then gradually each light was turned on throughout the house. So every time I could turn around, I could see everything just in case. That one freaked me out.
That's funny. Good work, man.
Yeah, so as I said, I probably am going to go see this at the movies alone. I just pray there's someone else in the cinema.
Well, depending on who that person is.
Yeah, well, this is true. I don't want any random sitting next to me like all the fucking like the Guardians of the Galaxy saga that we spoke about.
Completely anti-cinema except for that, and then one douchebag chooses a seat next to you.
Yes, but yeah, I cannot wait to see this one. And another one I cannot wait to see, and it was a property that we thought, and we spoke about, we thought it was dead and buried.
Yeah.
But this week it was announced that they're going to create a new Hellboy series. And not only is that great news, but they're actually going to make it rated R, which isn't a surprise because that's the theme going on now. But this is really cool. Like, unfortunately, Ron Perlman and Del Toro are no longer involved. And we thought that was the end of it because he said, no, we're not doing it anymore. But the creator has come out and said, bang, we're going to do an R-rated version of this.
Yeah, and just before we move on, because this is very interesting, but you talked before about Villeneuve who'd make a good Alien film, but I reckon Del Toro would make a fantastic Alien film as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be cool.
The guy's a visual genius.
Yeah. And he's got the right, I think he's got the right kind of that twisted horror, which could go really well for a horror Alien film. Anyway, Hellboy, I'm keen that it's R-rated because that gives them scope. They can explore the story that they want to explore, but I don't know, maybe, I mean, I haven't read a whole lot of Hellboy comics, but I never really took them as R-rated. I don't know what's going to get them the R.
I thought you'd be buzzing about this news, to be honest, because I knew last time you gave a real in-depth personal speech about what you wanted from the next Hellboy film. I'm like...
No, look, I'm excited, but I'm not quite I don't know why the R was necessary. I'm glad that it's done because, like I said, then they can make whatever film they want. But I'm just curious as to know because I never saw anything in the comics that just made me think, oh my god, this has to be an R film, otherwise I won't get that bit in. But I'm keen. I'm also really keen for David Harbour, who you might know from Stranger Things as the sheriff, to play Hellboy.
Yeah, that's a really cool choice in my opinion, and he's the right age where if the series or the movie was successful, you know, that they can do another 2 or 3 and have 10 years and he's still going to be quite current in people's minds with, you know, hopefully Stranger Things continuing on, you know, for many seasons to come.
Exactly right, man. That guy's just set himself up with these two, as long as Hellboy works out with these two franchises. And he showed in Stranger Things, I think we mentioned this last time, he's really good at punching things. And Hellboy does quite a bit of punching things with that arm. So... Yeah. Good job, David Harbour. I think that's perfect casting.
Yeah, so they've announced the director as well. The director is going to be Neil Marshall. He's made a film called The Descent, which was fantastic. It was a low budget, and it was a horror film, actually. That was fantastic, and he's also done a lot of episodes on Game of Thrones as well. So he comes from pretty good pedigree to, you know, reboot this Hellboy franchise.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it could be a lot of fun, and the second time around means they can fix some of the mistakes of the first one, and let's do it.
Yeah, let's do this. Another one that I was excited to hear, but kind of disappointed of what format we're going to see it in, is that they're going to be launching a live-action Judge Dredd TV show. Now, I don't know about you, but I was a massive fan of the Judge Dredd film that came out a couple of years ago with Carl Urban, and I think we spoke about it on the Sean show that they've pretty much greenlit the sequel to that film. He said it himself, and now they've kind of turned, and now we're getting a Judge Dredd Mega City 1 TV show.
I love this idea as a TV show. I think Judge Dredd could work much better as kind of like a cop procedural in this kind of a format, because one of the issues with Dredd as a film, which I actually kind of think they dealt with quite well in the Urban film, is that his moral compass isn't the same as ours. Whereas if you watch it in a movie, you've kind of got to have that arc, and you know, good guys come out good on the end, having learned a lesson, that kind of stuff. Whereas in a series, you can just have, you know, Dredd versus the bad guy this week, and he can just go in there and mess shit up. and you bring the bad guy to heel.
Yeah, but I hate those TV shows. I hate the villain of the week
Oh
episodes.
yeah,
I want a nice big story arc. I want to see.
I'm sure they had that as well.
But I also liked the visuals, and I like the take of the original, not the original, Judge Dredd movie with Carl Urban. So I'm kind of hoping that they kind of keep the same tone, and I would still like to see that same level of violence too brought into this TV show.
Yeah.
I would hate for it to land on one of the network shows. They haven't actually said who's going to be developing, but I'd hate to see like a PG version of
Yeah.
Judge Dredd, like the Sylvester Stallone one that we got back in the late 90s. Yeah, that's right. I mean, this guy has the power to be judge, jury, and executioner. We want to see him executing, to be honest.
If they do a version that's a lot more lighthearted, I want them to cast Rob Schneider as Judge Dredd. I want them to do a sequel to the movie, and now Rob Schneider has become a judge. And it's like his bumbling antics as he tries to rid, Mega City of crime.
If we can kind of mix Judge Dredd with his Deuce Bigelow, Mal Gigolo character, if you can have a mix of those two,
yes,
you've sold me.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. Make it happen, guys.
Well, they should just jump on Netflix because they're signing Sandler to 10,000 films, so they might as well sign Schneider onto this one, and maybe they can do a mashup with Adam Sandler. Maybe he can be one of the villains for one of the weeks.
He can be Judge Death or something.
Yeah.
Right up his alley.
Would be right up his alley. Fucking another turd. All right, well, this piece of news surprised me, actually, and I don't know how well this is going to play out, considering, we've already got this guy where we wanted him in his own franchise, and that is FXX, which is Fox's kind of adult station, has ordered a season of Deadpool the animated series.
Yeah, so bizarre. I did not expect this at all.
And as I said, considering how well they've launched Deadpool into his own film franchise, why would you want a lesser version of that character on TV? Like, there's no other person who can play it now but Ryan Reynolds. And I doubt Ryan Reynolds is going to voice, the animated version of this character. So I'm quite disappointed to see this. I would have liked to have seen this maybe once the Deadpool franchise had finished on the big screen.
I reckon they can find someone who can do Ryan Reynolds' voice. He doesn't have that special of a voice, but I do agree. Ryan Reynolds it's not just his voice; he brings a wit to the character. So the writers on this show better be top notch. And one of the great things about the show is it's being animated by the same people who do Archer, which I never thought about it before, but that's actually the perfect fit for a Deadpool-type comedy.
Yeah, and it's also going to be produced by Donald Glover and Stephen Glover.
Yeah, that's so strange.
They've got a massive hit show called Atlanta at the moment, so I think they're riding on the wave of that show, which has been really successful for FXX. So, yeah, it's a wait and see on that one. As I said, I'm not that excited about it.
Yeah,
I think it's just wrong timing.
Yeah, and Deadpool is a character who, if done incorrectly, just comes off as obnoxious and annoying. So hopefully they don't go down that road. But Donald Glover, I've got a lot of respect and a lot of time for. So hopefully he can pull it out, if you know my meaning.
What would be cool is if what they can do in the animated show is what they couldn't do on the big screen, and kind of get him involved with Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yeah. But at first I'm like, what couldn't they have done in the film? He talked about masturbating with his baby hand. And then, okay, you mean crossovers. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That would be cool.
Yeah, so they might be able to obviously work those characters into the TV show, so that could be a positive. But yeah, for me, it's definitely a wait and see on this one.
Now you got me excited. I didn't even think about crossover potential.
Yeah, the crossover potential is huge when you really think about it. Like, realistically, they don't have to go and get Hugh Jackman or Sir Ian McCallum or, anyone who's been part of that franchise to get them to come over.
And yeah, that's okay. Now I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm as wet for this as you were for Blade Runner before.
Yeah, so please ignore the double squishing sounds that you're hearing now. Where have you taken this podcast, honestly?
Okay, can I just okay, moving on.
No, go on.
No. I was just going to give a shout out, but
it can't get any worse. Keep going.
Oh, okay. Oh no, no. I was just going to give a shout out. I meant to do it at the top of the show, but now seems as good a time as any.
While we're talking about wetness.
Yeah, yeah, this is completely unrelated. I just want to say the reason I brought it up
I
is
hope you're not going to say hello to your mum because this is going to get really awkward now.
it's Mother's Day soon, so.
Go on.
The only reason I bring this up is because we were laughing at how hilarious we are. And a friend of ours from the Netherlands, well, she's in the Netherlands at the moment, she's not from there originally. A friend of ours, Steph, messaged Jack about the show and said that she listened to it and enjoyed it. So we're an international show now.
Listen to a show or the show? She listened to one episode.
No, let's say she listened to the show,
Yeah.
But she only commented on episode 17.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
Yeah, which is nice. Thanks. If he's listening again, Steph from the Netherlands, or now residing in the Netherlands, thanks.
Welcome.
You were our one download for that episode. So now we know. We can put a face to the download.
After talking about the wetness now, she's probably left. So
Yeah, she's probably
thank you for trying
I'm
it out
really
at
glad
least.
I'm on the other side of the planet from these creeps. And I don't blame her.
Yeah, I don't blame her either. As I said, this show just goes into weird directions and we can't explain it. All right, getting back on track. I don't know if you watched this film. It came out in 2014 and kind of didn't do that well at the box office, but critically it was a real success. And that was The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt.
Every day I wake up and I think, why haven't I watched this movie yet? It's the first thought that comes into my brain every single morning.
I agree.
Because when it came out, I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch that. I don't know if I want to watch another Tom Cruise movie. But since then, all I've heard about this film is how good it is.
Yeah, it is.
And
fantastic.
I love Emily Blunt. I have to see this movie, particularly now. Anyway, continue with the announcement.
Well, when it came out, I mean, I was exactly like you. The trailers didn't do much for me. It came out at the movies. I was just like, nah, won't bother. And then you keep hearing this buzz, and it came out on DVD or Blu-ray. I watched it, and I'm like, fuck, why don't I go watch this at the movies? It's actually really, really good. And if you do have a spare afternoon, put it on. It's going to be fantastic. Well, Doug Liman this week has come out and said that he's going to direct the sequel with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt involved. And Edge of Tomorrow isn't necessarily a great trailer, but they had a catchline of the film which was Live, Die, Repeat. And once you see the film, that totally makes sense. So they're not going to call it The Edge of Tomorrow 2. They're going to call it Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. So they're actually going to use the catchline that they should have used, really in the first film, and probably would have sold more tickets, to be honest, because Edge of Tomorrow just sounds like a rather generic title for a film. But Doug Liman is a fantastic director, and he really puts. And I don't know when he's going to do it actually, because he's supposed to be directing the Justice League Dark film. So how he's fitting into that, I'm not sure. But he said this could be a game changer for sequels. So
Empire wasn't good enough for him?
Exactly. You haven't seen The Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, he said it could change the game for sequels.
Do you know, I love the original name of the book that it was originally based on. All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping they'd go with that, but this is really cool as well. I'm very happy.
Yeah. Put your finger
Even though I
on
haven't
your
seen
butt
this film.
and go out and watch it.
Yeah, well, I'll check this out.
You're right there.
Yeah.
You just sound like you dropped something.
Oh. I was just cleaning myself up after that Deadpool talk. We're good
Cool.
together.
All right, good. All right, well, out doing press for his new film, King Arthur, and this could be the first bomb of the year. The reviews have been horrible. They're expecting to lose $25 million already, and the film hasn't even opened yet. Yeah, as we said when we saw the trailers, this is a film that had to have good reviews to go and watch it.
Yeah,
the reviews aren't good. And,
I think it was like 17% on Rotten Tomato.
Yeah, it's not good. And then this week,
we're talking King Arthur. Actually, we didn't even say the name of the film.
Yeah, King Arthur. Sorry.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie had cast David Beckham in this role, and he's getting panned for one of the worst performances you'll ever see on film. So there's just nothing going for this at the moment. But Guy Ritchie was asked about a superhero film, and he said that he'd quite fancy doing The Suicide Squad Part 2.
I think after this film, he's going to be happy to be doing anything.
I think he'd be lucky to cut the Suicide 2 trailer, let alone to make the film. Because he did The Man from U.N.C.L.E. a couple of years ago, and that was a bomb as well. So his
well
track
regarded
record
now, though.
by who?
by people who have seen it.
Have you seen it?
Have you seen it? No, I haven't seen it.
No, exactly. No one's seen it,
Not
so I
good.
don't know who these people are.
All right, Guy Ritchie's mum.
Yeah, so I don't know how he's going to do it because he's already planned to do the Aladdin film, but I think Guy Ritchie could have, as I said, the first two Guy Ritchie films were absolutely brilliant. Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch were on constant repeat at my house when I was growing up. So if he could go back to his English roots and forget about everything he's done since, it could be quite awesome.
What's more English than King Arthur?
Yeah, but he tried to do a King Arthur film with a modern spin on it, and by the sounds of it, it hasn't worked.
I still want to see this movie. I saw the trailer before Alien, and I'm like, I was more excited for that at the end of the film than I was for the whole movie of Alien. So it just looks cool. Jude Law is a bad guy. Oh man.
As I said, it's got a lot going for it, but by the sounds of it, the execution hasn't been good. But yeah, Guy Ritchie could be a good director for Suicide Squad.
I think so as well, because it won't be a waste if it's bad.
Well, speaking of the Alien film, I don't know if you'd be happy to hear this or not, but Ridley Scott has come out and saying while he's doing press for all of this, is that he's already into the writing process of a... Do you want to let me finish first before you get so disappointed? He's in the process of writing the third prequel, and they could start filming within 14 months.
Yep.
Now, that's a big call considering they haven't even seen the box office from this one. And this one could come out and bomb as well. So I wouldn't actually start, hatching your eggs before you lay them.
I think Ridley, though, could make the film, even if this film didn't make any money. He has the name, he's got the wealth, he would have the backers, he could make another film, another Alien film.
I have a feeling that they kind of have to do what Star Wars did and just move on from Ridley Scott and give someone else a crack.
I completely agree.
Like they should have done with Neil Blomkamp before they shat all over his idea of a fifth Aliens film.
I'll do it. All right, fine. I'll direct the next Alien film.
No. I think they wanted someone talented.
Oh, okay. Well, you didn't say that at first.
No, they were happy to, branch out, but not branch out that far.
Not branch out, not branch way down. All right.
All right, well, that wraps up the movie news. So we're going to... Well, you've got two films to review. Did you want to do your first one before we get into the spoiler one?
So I finally managed to get around to watching Kubo and the Two Strings. Have you seen this movie?
I have seen the first 10 minutes of this film. I took my son Ryder to see it when it came out, and this kid's scared of his own shadow. So there was a supernatural theme that started quite early in the film, and we left within the first 10 minutes. So I've seen the first 10 minutes of Kubo and the Two Strings.
When I was watching it, actually, I thought some of it's pretty messed up. But just to give a quick review, I really enjoyed it, and it got a lot of buzz when it came out. And it's just great to see that kind of stop motion. There's something special about a good stop motion film, and it really aids the whimsical, fantastical story of this movie. So to give the premise for the film, there's this boy Kubo, and he's being raised by his mother. The opening scene you would remember of the big wave and the mother trying to get her son away, and they wash up on the island. Yeah. Like it's just beautiful. The whole film, beautiful, every single scene. And it had me the entire time. The voice acting, Charlize Theron, Matthew McConaughey, was really good. I thought it was a bit weird because he's got that accent, so he kind of stood out. But still really good, really engaging voice acting from everyone involved. The story was really nice. The ending was a little bit left of center, which I thought quite worked for it. And just a lovely parable, like a lovely myth-esque story. Told beautifully. So I'd definitely watch it again. And when your boys get older, I think they should have another watch because I think it's one that could really sit with a younger audience. There's some quite scary parts. There was actually one part in it where I was watching it thinking, this is making me uneasy because it was just so otherworldly, so bizarre. But it's well worth the wait.
Yeah. No, I do want to watch it, but as I said, I've tried to convince him to watch it with me, but no, not going to happen.
Yeah, the poor guy. I can definitely understand that.
Yeah. But yeah, I totally agree with you about the stop motion animation. My boys are obsessed with The Night Before Christmas at the
Oh,
moment,
it's
so
such a good movie.
that is on my house a couple of times a week. And yeah, you do appreciate what goes into those.
Actually, just quickly, I saw Nightmare Before Christmas Monopoly earlier today. I'm
Oh,
like,
that'd
oh,
be
that's really
interesting.
cool. But yeah, they show a little bit of the stop motion process at the end of Kubo, and they're doing it with motorized rigs now,
Oh, really?
which is, I don't know if it's cheating or not, but it really gave the creatures a a fluidity of movement. Like they had there was one model which was bigger than a person. It was a giant, and they show like it's on a motorized rig with all like it's like a puppet basically, and the camera's on a motorized rig as well. So they just put it into the computer how they want it to move and where they want the camera, and it just moves as if it's been animated on the computer. It's
That is
pretty
pretty
incredible.
cool. So it's a thumbs up for you for Kubo.
Yeah, definite thumbs up. I'd say 2 thumbs up. It's well worth a watch if you haven't seen it yet.
All right, cool. All right, well, we're going to get into our spoiler-filled discussion now of Alien Covenant. If you haven't seen the film, like last time, just press pause. We'll wait. Go see the movie. Come back. Hit play. You gone now?
And then you two can be disappointed with us.
And let's go. They're gone. All right, so basically to go into the story of this, it kind of makes sense of where it ends up leading. The film opens up and it's a conversation between David, who was the droid of the first film, and his creator. And they're talking about life and creation. And when I sat there watching it was a bit odd because it was just not how I was expecting the film to start. And then we go into the story.
Again, it looked beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was good to see Guy Pearce. I love that guy.
Yeah,
and
he's so
Fassbender playing off each other. So yeah, I wasn't really sure where we were going with that. And the story is that basically we've got a ship of, would you say they're explorers or they're just colonists?
Colonists, I think.
Colonists. They've got a mission to head out to this planet. They're in a deep sleep. It's going to take 7 years to get there. Then another droid played by Fassbender, I think his name was Walter. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think it was Walter. He launches his shield to power up the ship. Something goes wrong, so he has to wake up the colonists to basically get them to fix the ship. So,
And can I just I'm going to break in here. I'm going to interject. This was the first clue to me that this was going to be not a good film because it was so lazy. Puts out the solar sails, and then suddenly there's a solar flare, and they get destroyed. And then the movie that basically is what starts the movie. And I saw that and I thought, okay, so this is going to be that kind of a film where it's like, well, we need to get somewhere, so let's just have something happen.
yeah. So basically, the crew wakes up. They get a signal, or that they receive a signal from a planet, and it looks like a human form. So they've said that they've scoured the entire galaxy looking for a planet, but somehow they've missed this planet.
Yeah.
And they're going to break all protocol and everything they've been taught and be like, you know what? Let's just go to this planet and check it out, shall we? So that was quite dumb of how they decided to go out and see this planet.
It doesn't make any sense for the character as well. We've got Billy Crudup. I actually thought Billy Crudup's performance was fantastic. To play like the sniveling, not sure of himself captain in a way that was engaging, I thought he did really well. But they establish his character as someone who doesn't like seeing his crew just disobey his orders, and they're drinking when he told them not to drink. And then in the very next scene, he's like, you know what, fuck orders, let's just go to this new planet. It was complete. His character was all over the shop. Thank God his performance was halfway decent.
Yeah, well, it kind of blended in with the rest of the story. And,
Yeah.
For a bunch of colonists, they're fucking stupid, to be honest with you. So they complete all protocol. They go out and see this planet. And, everyone lands and they've got a hard on because it's pretty much what they wanted to see.
Yeah.
They've got
no space suits or anything like that. Just go for a wander.
Exactly. They just that's exactly right. If you were going to a new planet, you would think you'd put on some type of hazmat suit so you would get adapted to the environment rather than just jump in. So that's where shit goes wrong straight
Even
away.
if you knew it was, I'm sure they have readings of its oxygen and stuff like that, you would still be careful, I'm sure. And there was a part where they were all walking out into the forest and they had, all their guns and stuff. And they didn't look like they were walking on an alien. They just looked like they were going for a stroll in the forest. Like, there was no idea of awe or wonder in any of their faces. It was just, I thought, there was nothing to get excited about as an audience member.
Yeah. So basically, they got two characters then, or the group splits up. One character from each group steps on these like little eggs. They release this organism. The organism travels one into one's ear, buries itself under its skin, and the other one goes up his nose. So then the organism uses the human body to create... what would you call them? They weren't the aliens.
No, I think they're called protomorphs or something like that. Yeah,
they're basically like this white version of an alien. And that part looked pretty cool, I got to admit.
That was the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Those things coming out of the people.
Yeah, so basically then two creatures are created, and then it kind of gets all a bit messier after that, to be honest, in my head.
And just before we move on, so I know I keep interjecting, but I've got to get this frustration out. I'm not going to sleep tonight. Why, like, the idea of these plants that shoot the spores was ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. There's no indication about where these things come from.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. Where did they come from? How do they exist?
Yeah. There's no living creature on this planet, which I assume is because maybe the aliens have, like, the black ooze or whatever it is, has wiped everything out, but there's no indication of that. And if that's the case, why do these plants still exist? Because there's nothing, like, there's nothing for them to feed on or to reproduce. Like, it's silly. Yeah. Just lazy.
Very lazy. And then we are introduced again to David, who, after these aliens take place and cause havoc within the group, David appears and takes them back to shelter. And this is where the themes that we spoke about earlier about life and creation really, or we should say, this is where Ridley Scott puts his head up his own ass so far that he actually doesn't realize what is going on in this movie and how stupid it looks in this film.
There were some nice scenes in this that, like, the whole sequence. For starters, it's completely dumb. They're like, okay, first of all, the reason they go to this planet, I'm not sure we covered it, is because they hear the song. Yes. There's someone broadcasting a song.
John Denver, Take Me Home.
Denver, that's right. Nobody brings that up as like, here's this planet that we've not been told about that's like nestled away, and it's got a human voice projecting from it. Maybe we should leave it the hell alone. But anyway, that's beside the point. When they get there, they find this android. They don't know anything about him, and they trust him implicitly. They don't question him at all about what he's doing there, what his motives are, what he has been doing. Like, they're the dumbest colonists, as you said, that I've ever heard, ever seen.
Well, basically what David has been doing is that after the discussion that we spoke about at the start of the film, where he's talking to his creator about creating life, he wants to create life, and he wants to play God. It goes back to the story of Ozymandias, and I was kind of thinking Watchmen at the same time, because that's what Ozymandias wanted to do in Watchmen as well. And basically, he wanted to wipe everyone out and start.
He's done so much better in Watchmen.
Yeah, to some degree. Yeah, he basically wanted to wipe everyone out and create his own life. So he's got like this little factory in the basement where he's creating aliens.
But it also, you never see, does he have machinery there?
I have no idea. That's the part I was going to talk to you about. Yeah. Because I don't know if I've missed anything between Prometheus and this one. But how was he creating all these things?
Look, and like the engineer's ship is there, so I'm sure there's stuff on it. But all we ever see is like stone corridors and stone stairwells. Like, there's nothing there that, and his office is a stone room with a. He looks like he's Da Vinci, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And when he leads Billy Crudup down into the basement with the big face hugger eggs, which really shit me, by the way. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Like, there's nothing in that room which indicates, did he carry these eggs down into the basement?
Yeah, I have no idea.
It was dumb.
And what about the scene? What did you think of the scene where he wipes out the entire empire that was living in the ruins that he's now taken over.
It was nonsense. Why was that scene in there?
Who were these people?
Yeah, exactly right. Like, what was it? It seemed to be like dropped in at a random time.
And where did he get these things that he drops out of the sky, and so many of them?
I didn't know. I think it's because at the end of Prometheus, if I remember right, he gets his head ripped off.
Correct.
But he's on the ship with Shaw. And I think the idea is that she fixes him, he kills her, and then goes and drops this stuff on that was in the ship. Because originally, remember, that ship was going to go to Earth to kill Earth. So I think he's gone to the engineer planet and dropped it on them instead.
Yeah. So...
But why and how is never explained.
There was a lot more questions than what there were answers. And the answers that the questions that we got still had questions about those questions. So
I'm fine with a film not answering every question. That's cool. I think that's good filmmaking because it makes you think about it. But the questions that this film was asking were nonsense. They were not worthy of extra thought. And I know that there are other things that are outside of this film, like there are like advertising spots and things like that which reveal bits and pieces. But that's bullshit. Like, you need everything that you want in your film needs to be in the film.
So I think this is the part where the film kind of lost track of where it was going and what it was supposed to be. And as much as I like the themes of, life and creation and everything else, it just wasn't the fit for this.
No. Fassbender did a really great job playing both Walter and David. And some of their scenes, even though they were kind of a bit nonsensical, were still really engaging.
And impressive to look at.
Yeah. But I wasn't sure. I didn't really understand what David's motivation was. Like, okay, he didn't like humanity because he thought, they were weak, they were a lesser version. So he wants to create... He says he created perfect life, but what about the aliens are perfect? Like, they're just good at one thing, which is killing. Like, they're not perfect. Like, they're good at that, fine, but that doesn't make them... Like, why did he think that was perfect?
Yeah.
And that brings us to the other point. It seems to imply that he created the current strain of the xenomorph, so that aliens that we see in Alien and in Aliens were a strain of this creature created by David. And that really shits me. That just throws out all of the established lore that had kind of been hinted at in the previous films.
Yeah, absolutely. And if someone listening to this completely disagrees, let us know, because if there's something that we've missed here, I would love to know, because, it is a head-scratcher, and you kind of, again, like you, it's a bit of a slap in the face to the work that was done previous by Ridley Scott and James Cameron.
And it gets a little worse, I think, at the end of the film, when they do that bait and switch, that you already knew. It was the worst bait and switch in the universe. And to be honest, I kind of liked the ending. When he, it was revealed that he's David and she's like screaming in the pod, and he sort of puts her to sleep, and then he's got the whole ship to himself. That's cool. I really like that. But the way that they got there was so hackneyed and hammy. It was, I don't know, did Ridley Scott think he was getting one over on us with that really bad cut when the two androids were fighting?
Yeah,
surely not.
But anyway, after it's revealed that David is creating these, he takes one of the guys downstairs. The face hugger opens up, infects him. The alien bursts out of his chest, and then we basically get the Alien film that we've seen 5 times already. So they kind of did something that wasn't necessarily something we hadn't seen before. It was cool to see one basically out in the middle of the day. That was quite cool. Yeah,
some of the CG was pretty poor, but it was cool overall.
But as you said, they were just, you got 2 aliens. Yep, we'll kill these, and let's set up the next film.
Exactly right.
There was no real thought into it, in our opinion, and it was just something that we've already seen 4 or 5 times now, and you walk out of the film and like, oh yeah, that looked alright, and then another thought given.
I feel like Billy Crudup's character a little bit, because we were led down into a dark basement and then told to look at something which killed us. because that's what Billy Crudup, like, that was so stupid for his character to do as well. He's just seen David talking to this protomorph that he killed, and then he follows him into the basement and looks into the egg, so that is the epitome of lazy filmmaking. It could have been so much more interesting than that, but Billy Crudup should have said, Ridley, what are you doing? Yeah. Stop. You're hurting yourself.
And I think Ridley Scott now has just got... What was the last good film that he made?
Oh.
I honestly couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Alien?
I would say Gladiator, because that was a fantastic film.
Yeah, okay, that was good.
But in saying that, I'm just trying to think back in... The Martian, that was very good.
The Martian was good. It's true.
But he's just been so hit and miss because he had Prometheus, Robin Hood, Body of Lies,
A
Good Year, Kingdom of Heaven. Like he'll pluck out a really good one, but then you got to go through some shit to see another really good one. And I think that's where we're at the moment.
And I don't mind a good director making shit, but don't make it in a good franchise. Go somewhere else and do your shit, and then come back and do the good shit.
So. Yeah, I don't know where it goes from this. As I said, I think I would prefer to see this franchise go in a different direction to the one it's heading. This has kind of got George Lucas prequels written all over it.
Yeah.
And I would rather someone like Disney just buy the rights and let someone else make these films.
Imagine saying that, 8 years ago. I just want Disney to own Aliens. Does that mean the Alien Queen will become a Disney princess?
Possibly. There's a good chance of that.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah. So I think we pretty much covered everything that we thought about this film. If you're listening to this review, and as I said, if you disagree and we've missed something and we sound like complete dicks, let us know. Because as I said, if there's something I missed, I'd love to see it before going into the next one. And as you said, visually, the same as the Prometheus, visually it's stunning. It's really beautiful to look at. He's still got his eye, but whether he's still got the filmmaking or the storytelling, I should say, left in him, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree there.
Yeah,
and look, there's a lot of other lore out there. People write whole blogs about the extra lore, but it's got to be in the film or it doesn't count.
It's true. There's no point having it in fan fiction because not everyone's going to read it.
Exactly.
So. All right, well, that wraps up episode 15 of Not Another Movie Podcast. I am Sean Pierce.
And I am Sean Disappointed Kelly.
Yeah,
you sound like my wife on our wedding night.
But she was disappointed, Mrs. Kelly,
exactly
for the first time.
Jackie Disappointed Kelly.
Yeah, and you're like, it's not going to be the last either. All right, on that happy note, I let your week be a good week. Until next week.